Hello everyone, hope you are doing well. We are having a look at the update trailer for the next major update. This is Hornet Sting Take 2, and this trailer is generally pretty fun. I like these types of trailers. I know it's not going to be as interesting for a ton of people because of the fact that there isn't a lot of vehicles in this one, but this trailer does actually show things that people are going to interact with way more in the actual update itself. You have a bunch of maps in this trailer, you have some SPHs, some AAs, and then also, of course, the namesake, the FA-18, and also the Su-30SM. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to have a look at everything that's in it, we're going to analyze it a bit, have a bit of fun, and also get ready for the next stage, which is, of course, the procession of the next few days. There's going to be a bunch of stuff going on, and we're going to cover it all on the channel. So if you're interested in the next update and also the content, make sure to subscribe and also like the video. Let's get in there, let's get going, and let's have a fun time. So, Hornet Sting. The first thing that they actually show is actually the most interesting part to me of the update. This right now is some map designs, or I should say redesigns. They remember how they updated the the factory map, abandoned factory. Well, they did say in the covert disclosures that they were actually going to do that for a bunch of other maps as well. One of them being Advance the Rhine, and you can see here there is going to be a redesign of it. This is from the church, and you can see that it does look very different compared to before. This is around the area where everybody likes fighting for some reason. This is one of the kind of little open areas that's there. But basically what you're getting is you are getting a fully kind of updated graphical look at what Advance the Rhine's going to be. So if you are one of those people who really enjoys fighting around there, you won't be able to see this beauty, but at least it's here. This is usually where one of the caps is. This is obviously the little garden area. They're probably going to do some like little changes here and there because, you know, that's what they did with Abandoned Factory 2. And then we have our first vehicle of the trailer, the 2S19, the big boy. I like to call this thing the Mr. S because I think it's the MSTAS, so it's just hard to say. This is a modern Russian SBH, and at least according to the league list, it's going to come in two forms. You have this one, and then you have another one as well. Basically, this vehicle is very similar to a lot of more modern SBHs that we have. The difference between the two variants, one of them has an upgraded engine and also a longer gun, so very similar to like the M109 to the M109A1, and then also it should have an updated fire control system too. The other thing about this vehicle, the 2S19, is it has a very large caliber gun since it is an SBH, and it uses parts of stuff from the T72 and also T80, so it's a nice mixture of both of them. So look forward to this probably around what, like 7780, which, you know, is pretty standard for these types of SBHs. And if you like donking things, if you like overpressuring things, then this will be your thing that you enjoy. The other thing to also remember is maybe at some point they might be adding more mechanics for these SBHs. Now we're getting more and more of them into the actual game. Then we have this. This is another updated map. Now, this is either jungle or it's Vietnam. For me, I think it's jungle just because of the way that it's set up, but this could easily also be that kind of like eastern, southern area of Vietnam where it's overlooking the water. So they might actually have, remodeled them. So we'll have to see what goes on with that. And then, of course, we have this map. Now, this, if I'm right, this is Tunisia. Or, sorry, not Tunisia. It's the Second Battle of El Alamein. It's the center point, I'm pretty sure, but we'll have to see what goes on with that as well. And then this is obviously Sinai, which is around. So they're updating a ton of maps, kind of going forward with, and it's just going to be really cool. When the dev server comes out, we're going to have a look around all of them because obviously that to me is something that matters more than a general vehicle or anything like that, because what this means right now is this is going to be what you're going to see more, right? So when you play like one vehicle, whether it be like the FA-18, whether it be like the 2S19 or whatever, right? You will eventually get bored or there'll be something new and you'll eventually play that thing. With all of these maps, you will see them 50, 100, 200,000 times, over the lifespan of kind of you playing War Thunder. So they matter way more than an individual vehicle because you'll just see it more. So then we have what I like to call the flippy dip, which is the the thrust vectoring, and this is a sign for the SU-30SM. They teased it in the decal. It seems like most of the stuff that was in that 2025 decal is actually coming out in this update, and the SU-30SM is a massively upgraded variant of the Su-30, which was another one of these Russian vehicles, which was based off the Su-27. So now we're going to have the Su-33, the Su-27, the Su-27SM, the Su-34, and now the Su-30SM. This one has an incredibly powerful radar and also has access to a lot of hardpoints. So this one will be able to have a lot of fun on the battlefield. And the other thing with the thrust vectoring, who knows what will happen to it. I think this is the first vehicle that we have in game which isn't just a straight up VTOL aircraft that has access to this technology, and I wonder if people will use it effectively or not, or what will go on with it. The next vehicle, of course, it is the FA-18. The Hornet has been one of those vehicles that's been talked about for the longest time in War Thunder, and I think there's actually a better kind of look at it here that I can show you. But it's one of those which has been looked out for many times by many different people for War Thunder itself. And the reason is because it's iconic, and it's also one of the American vehicles that hasn't been added to the game yet. So when you think about it, you have the F-15, you have the F-14, you have the F-16. Well, now you have the FA-18, and you can have a look at it in the trailer itself. This is probably the best picture of it that is around. So remember, when it came to the leak list and when it came to the FA-18 itself, there was a lot of moving around of it. It was pretty obvious it was coming, this update, from the covert disclosures, but also from the leaks. And right now the leaks say there's either going to be an FA-18A plus or FA-18C early premium. There's going to be a FA-18C late in the tech tree, and also the Super Hornet, the FA-18E, and then a one for Sweden too through the Finnish, since they obviously use the FA-18C. So right now, that's what's there. Another thing that's really cool about this vehicle, you have the camo extend to the external fuel tank, and if you remember from the F5AG event, you could also get the camo on the sidewinders, which was pretty cool. So maybe we'll see something like that going forward. What is key with the FA-18 is also not really the platform itself. I know this sounds a bit odd, but we have very powerful platforms at high BRs already. The major thing that's going to be interesting to see about it is what ordnance options it's going to get access to. And you can see here, at least in this one, it has the standard AIM-9s, probably AIM-9Ms, and then also it has some quite large bombs and some sneaky boys just under here in the form of the AMRAAMs. Now, the interesting thing about this video as well is this right here. Now, if you have a look at these two areas, you can see here, right, that you have what looks like a ridiculous amount of missiles on these hard points. Now, we've all seen the pictures of the FA-18s where they have all those hard points on the wings and even on the undercarriage, and they just have a million missiles on them. Now, right now, these look like AIM-120s. They might not be AIM-120s. They could easily just be HARMs or something like AGM-88s. You can actually see them going down and hitting the ground over here, which would indicate that they are some kind of anti-radiation or some kind of ground-seeking missile instead of a higher one. Instead of something like an AMRAAM, which of course is an active radar homing missile, but it's more designed around going after air targets instead of the anti-radiation missiles that are about. But you can see here, it can at least hold 2 of them on each hardpoint, which is going to be absolutely nuts. And obviously, with the advanced radar that the FA-18 will have, it will be able to guide pretty much any ordnance to the target as it goes around. Talking about another vehicle that has a ridiculous amount of armament. There you go. There's the Su-30SM and its full banger. You can see the glide munitions that are here, the R-77s, the R-73s, and how many hard points are on this thing. So basically, I think it's the same, at least looking at it, as stuff like the Su-27s, which are pretty nuts. And then also, if you have a look at these, it looks like they're going to be adding the Grom back in. And, well, so there are 2 versions of the Grom. There is a glide version of the Grom, and then there is a glide version of the Grom which has access to a engine, it's like kind of rocket assisted or missile, depending on how you want to see it, like a rocket assisted guided bomb or guided missile. It's one of those which is really annoying to kind of work out what specification you want to give it. But yeah, so the Su-30SM is going to come in. It's going to have a ridiculous amount of ordnance, and it's probably going to be the king of the Russian tech tree because of its radar on top of everything else. This is a super modern vehicle with a very, very powerful radar. The question as well about this vehicle is actually the fact that are they going to give it even better armaments that are already in the game? There's always been chat of the R77-1, of course, which is the upgraded version of the R77. This actually has been in the files for the longest time, but it just isn't used by anything. So the question is that going to turn up on this vehicle too? And we'll find out in time, is the basic way to put it. There's also a vehicle that we haven't talked about that you may have seen slightly while it was wandering around. And this is one that I have personally looked forward to for a long time. You can see kind of a freeze frame of it here. And then also later on, this is a better view of it. This is the tracked Rapier. This is a British AA system. The Rapier was a missile system which was basically developed in the late 1900s. It's a missile system that is used by a ton of different countries in the world. But when it comes to the tracked version of it, which you can see here, not as, well used. Most actually use kind of like the stationary version of the Rapier, where the tracked version is one which you won't see as much. And the difference is this one gets access to 8 missiles, and obviously it isn't just a tower with missiles on it, which, the station one only has 4, and this one, should be a little bit more fun, at least in terms of moving around. So that's cool to see. I think generally we've talked many times about there needing to be more AA at the highest echelon. Whether the Rapier will actually be as good as some of the other machines that are already there, we'll have to see. Will it deal with the cast threats? Probably not. You can also see here that there are some other machines coming in. They kind of look like Alpha Jets. I don't know if there is another vehicle which is being teased here, but they honestly just look like Alpha Jets or something like that. Like you can see here, it's probably not making a huge deal. It might also be something like a MiG-23. Like you can once again, they kind of, or it might be the A6. Could it be the A6? Nah, that kind of looks like some kind of weird AMX or something like that. So I don't think it's anything weird. You got the 2 S-19s having a bit of fun. You can also see once again the weaponry coming in on these vehicles. Right now, these are all the R-77s that it has. And then it's obviously dropped everything else. So yeah, these vehicles are just going to be nuts. And then we just have a weird addition. I don't know how else to put it. This one is just a Syrian MiG-21. Maybe they're doing a Bison deal where they're going to bring in like a premium Syrian vehicle once again. But you can see it has the really interesting setup for its missiles. So you have like you have the 2 which are on top of each other, and then the one here. So that I'm pretty sure this is what, like Abyss. Like it could easily just be Abyss. Oh, is it Iraqi? Sorry, it's Iraqi, not Syrian. My bad. But this is just obviously the Hornet just nuking it. Now I'm pretty sure this also shows like a historical thing that happened with the Hornet and with the MiG-21, but also at the same time, it's like something which, I don't know, it could mean something else. Who knows? Like there was that leak about the whole Iran-Iraq war thing coming in, which it could be part of. You can also once again see some of the ordnance that the F-18 is going to carry, but generally, I don't know. I don't know what this could be showing. I'd be very surprised if we have an Iraqi subtree or anything like that. I think in general, it could just be either like a premium they're going to put in the Russian tech tree, or they're going to stick somewhere else. I don't know why anybody would need another MiG-21, but who knows? Who knows indeed. So this trailer isn't really heavy on the vehicles. You have the 2S19, you have the Rapier, the F-18, the Su-30, and then of course this random MiG-21. But in terms of story and in terms of showing us some cool things that are coming in, I'm pretty happy to actually see all of the stuff that's coming. They made a big effort in the covert disclosures thing to actually talk about a lot of the mechanics that are coming into the game. And unfortunately, you can't really show that in a trailer. And I'm hoping that on the dev server and over the next few days, we'll be able to cover it for you. So let me know your thoughts when it comes to the trailer. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you've had a wonderful time watching. And as always, look after yourselves. Peace be with you. I'll see you next time.